The name is AJ Locasio, aka Gambit. Remember it. And you're listening to the power of X-Men. Hope you survive the experience, Mona Lee.
Boom, what's up, Amelia Dayspring here with a very fun episode of Power of X-Men. I wanted to do this video for weeks because I love Carol Danvers as Warbird in this black and gold costume. It is how I first came to know the character. For me, it is my favorite version of the character. I really wanted to rank these figures because each of these figures has been a journey, and I wanted to talk about the history of these figures and why they're so special for collectors such as myself. And I would have done it on Saturday when I got the figure. Or no, it wasn't Saturday, it was Sunday. But we did have Michelle Waffle in the house, our co-host, and she's having a panel right now or this weekend at San Diego about toy hunting and collecting. But she was here staying with us in her very spacious New York apartment. But we went to the Deadpool premiere on Monday. So we got the figure on Sunday. It was very cramped here. We had spent the entire day out. And then on Monday, we had to line up for the Deadpool premiere because we were in the fan pit. And let me tell you, Deadpool and Wolverine, I walked out with so many of these buckets. I have another one here too. I hoarded these. They were just giving them away for free. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, I will take all of these. Thank you. But Familia, I want to tell you, go watch Deadpool and Wolverine. Do I think it's a perfect movie? I don't think it's a perfect movie, but do I think it is full of a lot of heart and surprises? It absolutely is. Do we want the X-Men and Deadpool and everything else with the MCU Marvel to keep going on for many, many more phases? So go support it. It's, I have my grievances with it, but it is not anywhere near Thor, Love and Thunder or Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Okay? So go watch it. I mean, there's so much hype for it. So much fun. I want to talk Warbird as well. We've also got in a couple of Marvel Legends reveals already. And I'm recording this on Thursday. So 4 days after I wanted to really record this. But we just had preview night, I guess, last night at San Diego. And today's the first official day of San Diego Comic-Con. I know there was a leak. I accidentally posted it because I saw it on my Twitter feed. I went to bed so early last night because I was so tired. I was so tired. So I went to bed early last night and I woke up and I started scrolling through my feed and I saw, by the time this video comes out, the figure will already be revealed, but it was a Marvel Legends arcade style Sentinel, which we all knew was coming. It was rumored for a while. We all knew it was sort of coming, but a con in Hong Kong, it was on display there. I believe it was supposed to be on display first, and then people can go take photos, but someone grabbed some photos and leaked it on the internet. But it's being officially revealed there, and through the back end, I was told that there is a Hasbro breakfast brunch. They do that in San Diego every year. It must be nice to be invited. But they have a breakfast brunch situation, and that's where they're going to reveal the Hasbro Marvel Legends Sentinel. So that looks so good. The Marvel Legends Phoenix looks really great in person. I said this before with my reaction, or maybe I said it to someone else. I don't know. I can't remember if we properly reacted to the figure, but she looks so much better in person. Again, we go through this every single time, especially for us Crazy Jean fans. We see the figure posted online. We're like, she doesn't look so good. We see those promo images. We see the reveal. And then once she's in hand, we're like, actually, this looks actually really good. So she looks so great. I'm sorry. My headset that I usually have is back in Miami. So here in New York, I have my OG mic. So I'm going in like this. The other figures that we got to see were Bloodstorm and Damien from the Strange Tales wave. I cannot wait to get these two figures. I didn't ask for them, but I want them. And I hope Bloodstorm is a herald for more Mutant X figures. I would be okay if you want to repaint the X-Men 97 Wave 2 Madeline figure as Mutant X Marvel Woman. I would be okay with that. I know that's contentious, and I know Hasbro would not do that. but that's how okay I am, because I really do want the Mutant X, the Six, out there. That's the team that Havoc led in an alternate dimension. And obviously, Damian was part of the Engine of Vengeance with Maddie that never got funded. So I'm glad to see that we have Damian out there. The other figures that we saw that I thought looked really, really good were Rogue, first appearance Rogue, and Destiny. So first appearance Rogue looks really great. This is how I feel like with the, the Australian era 80s Rogue that we got. Not a bad figure, but don't have any use for her. It's like I get her, I take a photo, and then she goes straight in the box. But Destiny is a figure we've all wanted for a very, very long time. And I am very happy with how she looks. My only question mark, my little question mark here is, why doesn't she have an alternate head? And I would like her in her older form. I know, obviously, in the comics, she was resurrected to be younger. That's great. Happy for the character. But for me, she will always have the gray hair and a bun and like the big, like Coke bottle, glasses, foreseeing the future. So that's how I would have wanted to have gotten the figure with an alternate head. That's fine. We did it. We'll get there. But I'm really excited for what we've seen so far. It's only Thursday as of this recording, so let's see what else gets revealed over the weekend. But let's dive in to a ranking and history on the Marvel Legends Warbirds. So we have 3 figures, and we're going to rank all of them and discuss the history and sort of the toy hunting experience for them. Coming in at number 3, it's a Giant Man Walmart exclusive Warbird, aka Meg Ryan. She looks identical to Meg Ryan. And as I've said on this podcast before, we had Sam Hatmaker on, and we and him had a conversation back in like 2006, which is when this wave came out, that a lot of the figures that Toy Biz did for the Marvel Legends were actually based off of actors. So with Angel, you see he is so clearly Brad Pitt. With Warbird here, you can see that she is inspired by Meg Ryan, which is great. It's fantastic. I like Sleepless in Seattle, and You Got Mail. So this figure, it blew us away on the Fush when we found out it was being announced, because, again, in 2006, Marvel Legends was only 4 years in. It had begun in 2002. And it's not like the plethora of figures that we get today. Back in the olden days, we didn't even think we would get characters like this, like Shadowcat, Giant Man, Havoc, Captain Britain, Age of Apocalypse, Wolverine and Sabretooth, and the Sentry, Ant-Man. These were major characters for us. I mean, now they come and they go, and we're moving on to the next one. The production that Hasbro has done is very ample for us fans. But I will tell you, back in like 2004, we were just like, oh my God, we weren't even expecting an entire wave of Marvel Legends Age of Apocalypse. We were just happy to have them. So the fact that we got Warbird was, of course, having her minute in the comics because of New Avengers and everything that was going on in a post House of M world. So this figure was really, really incredible. It's the same, they didn't reinvent the mold for this, quite literally. It's the same body type that we saw on Phoenix and other female characters at the time. But one thing I do want to point out, though, that I was a little disappointed, and why it is number 3 on this list, not because at the time it was a bad figure, but I know this is going to sound so like bratty, and it is Brat Girl Summer here in New York because it's so hot and Charlie XCX, but it's because look at the prototype here, right? You see the prototype, it's very different from the final product. Let me just do the comparison here. She had longer hair in the prototype. I know that is such familia. I know that is a nitpick of the nitpicks of the nitpicks, but like it just looked a little different. It had a better stance than what we actually got in the end. And again, Carol, like I always picture her with the longish hair when she has this outfit, and it just kind of goes up to her shoulders. It felt a little lackluster. This wave came out in the spring of 2006. I was a senior in college. I hadn't yet moved to New York. I was still in Tallahassee, Florida. So I remember going to the Walmart. I remember going to the local Walmart every night for weeks, just waiting to see if we would get it. And we knew this woman there. We called her our friend. I'm forgetting what her name was, but we called her our friend. And I'll never forget, we had Victorious, who was my eldest Pom, and my husband, and we were walking towards the toy aisle. So like you would get in at Walmart, you would make a left and you go straight down. And our friend just came out of the register and she was like, it's here, it's here, it's here. I was hoping you guys were going to come here. And she like guided us to this big pallet that had yet to be unboxed. And we unboxed it. And it was just this end cap. Well, not an end cap. It was just this palette with all the figures in like a 360 display. And we literally just went one by one and grabbed all the ones we wanted. I don't think we got doubles. Well, you know what? I'm lying to you, because at the time, my husband and I mean, we had just been dating for like a couple of years. So we had still were in this phase where we're buying you a set of Legends and I get myself a set of Legends as well. So, but also Legends were like $7.99 back then. Okay. So they were affordable for college students. Okay. My conscience is clear here, but we each got a set, and I'm holding little Victorious, who's like 3 pounds, while grabbing all of these figures. The internet loved it. I would have said in 2006, this was my favorite wave just because of how dynamic the character selection was. This Warbird sadly has not aged well as compared to the other figures that we've gotten, but she is coming in at number 3. She is, at the time, was a great figure. We love her very much. Warbird, Walmart, Giant Man exclusive, coming in at number 3. Coming in at number 2 is the Nuclear Man Captain America Warbird 3-pack. Yes! I believe the year was 2014, and we saw the reveals for her at San Diego, and she was going to be a Target exclusive. And I was like, oh my God. It's so hard up here in New York just to find anything. I was like, there's no way in heck I'm ever going to be able to find this figure. It was such a pain, to give you an idea, around this era. It was such a pain to find Hope, Marvel Legends Hope Summers, because it was a return of Marvel Legends. And we found Thor, we found other characters from the wave, but we could not find Hope Summers. So I was like, we have no hope of finding this Warbird. And I was down in Miami, actually, and I don't know how. I think I had come across the Red Skull that had come out at that point, and he had the Tesseract, the Cosmic Cube with him, and I think I had Black Cat as well. And I was like, okay, let me try to see if I can find this 3-pack, because I believe on the Foosh they were posting that she had become available. So I go to the Target in Miami, and if you guys are familiar with Miami, I went to the one on US 1 around Pinecrest. And that's not the Target I usually go to. I always go to the Target in Dadeland Station. That was like my Target growing up. That's where I've always found all my figures. But I went to this one because it's not as mainstream as a Target in Dadeland. So I go there. I believe I have a UPC number, and I asked them about it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we do have it." And so they go back, and I was like, they're not going to have it. I've done this stance since I was like 5 years old. And they're like, oh yeah, we may have one in the bag. And they never do sometimes. You know what I mean? So I don't get my hopes up, but they come out with a 3-pack. And I was like, I was like 31 at this point. That's how old I am, kids. I was like 30, 31 at this point. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much. And they go to ring her up. And they're like, oh, wait, our system's not letting us sell this to you. I was like, please, like, again, this is before Marvel Legends was as mainstream and popular as it is today. Marvel Legends, especially I want to say during the pandemic, Marvel Legends really exploded with a lot of people. The hobby was very different back then. But I was like, please, please, please. And the manager just came by like, yeah, of course. And like swiped the card or something like that. I don't know what the manager did, but I was able to purchase her there. Now, she is much like the Walmart exclusive Warbird. This Target exclusive Warbird is a byproduct of sort of the generic brute female body mold at the time, right? So if the Meg Ryan Walmart Warbird was, reusing the Phoenix body mold, this was using like the Black Cat, the Rogue, that kind of body mold with this generic female head, which has been reused for Gamora with Phoenix, with other characters. So It's a nice paint deco. It's aged nicely. I for the longest time was like, I'm pretty satisfied with this. We'll never get another Warbird because now Carol is Captain Marvel. She has a different look. All the figures we have gotten have been very tailored to either the MCU Brie Larson or Captain Marvel. And that's fine. That's great. But I just sort of thought this was a costume we'll never get. And people, I go back and forth between calling her Miss Marvel and Warbird because I knew her as Miss Marvel first, and then I love the name Warbird. But this was fine. I I have her proudly, I had her proudly displayed for a while, and now I'm putting her aside because we have what I think is the definitive Marvel Legends Warbird, and that's what our number one is, and it's Warbird Target exclusive. Oh my God, right here. Obviously, I just got her this weekend, as I said earlier in this episode. She is stunning. I don't, I said this decades, I'm like years ago. I'm like decades. Like, don't lie to yourself. I'm like, don't lie to yourself, Paul. I said this decades ago when I had the Marvel Legends Wave 6 Phoenix. I'm like, they can't get any more accurate than this. How can they ever top something like that? Here we are 20 years later. Here we are. Look at this Warbird. I love her so much. Now, this is a really interesting journey I've had with this character, and I apologize for the familia who engages with us on Instagram. But I found her maybe like 2 weeks ago, something like that, at my local Target. So I was seeing online that people were posting all about her on Instagram and that they were finding her. I was traveling, so I went from Miami to Pittsburgh to Ohio back to New York, right? That was sort of the journey I did. And in Miami, I was like, okay, before I go, I'm going to check the Targets in Miami. Again, that Pinecrest Target and that Dadeland Stations Target. I went there, didn't find anything. We land in Pittsburgh, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go hunting in the morning. That's what I'm gonna do. So I took my mother-in-law's car and I hit up all the Targets in the area. And Pittsburgh is really, we were staying in South Park, and it's a very windy roads, very hilly. So even to get to a Target that's like a mile or two away takes about like 10, 15 minutes. So I spent my entire morning going around looking for her. Couldn't find her anywhere there. We go to Ohio. I'm like, I creep out, and like first thing in the morning, my nieces are like, where are you going? I'm like, no, we're just coffee. And they're like, we want to come. I'm like, no, you don't. But I couldn't find her in Ohio either. And we were in Columbus. So we get back late. So we go from Columbus to New York. I specifically live in Hoboken. So I go to the Jersey City Target. That's my Target. And I've seen some other collectors there. And I always I'm like, should I say hi? Should I introduce myself? I'm like, you're a miter. I've been coming to this Target for 18 years, kid. But so I wake up first thing in the morning. I get coffee. My husband goes to work. We drop him off at the subway, and I go to the Target, and I'm coming down the aisle, and I'm like, oh, they got nothing as per usual, nothing, because it's kind of dry. They haven't had many Legends there. They get picked over very quickly, etc. And again, I'm guilty of it. I found the Deadpool and Wolverine figures. And I'm like, you're going, you know what I mean? So I knew not to expect anything. I go all the way down the toy aisle. I'm like, oh, whatever. Like maybe I'll just pick up some bubbly, lime soda. But she is there at the end of the aisle, on like the corner, like right next to, I'm trying to think of the figures that are there, like Transformers, something like that. And I'm like, I grabbed her, and I was like, it's like kind of like Elaine when she gets stuck on the subway on Seinfeld, and like the subway picks up again, and she's like, yes, yes. That is how I was when I found her. And I looked at her, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. She's a beautiful figure. She is a byproduct, in my opinion. She's a byproduct of what we see with Phoenix Force Creations, with the beautiful hair, the dynamic painting, everything. And I was really excited because I forgot where I was at when the pre-order went up. I think I'm trying to think. I think I was at an event or I was traveling, and I didn't pre-order her. And I was like, well, there's no way in hell I'm going to get her in Jersey City or anywhere in the city. I'm just not even going to try. It's so competitive. And even when I went to, I'll get into a deeper story here, but even other days when I've gone there first thing before the doors open, there are already other fanboys waiting to get in. And I don't like to be competitive anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's just before, maybe in my younger days, I could be a little bit more competitive. Maybe I was a little less self-conscious about it, but I do think I'm like, I'm a 40-year-old man just running to the toy aisle still after all this time. But so okay, it's July 16th, whatever day it was. And I'm holding her in my hand and I'm like this, and I'm over the moon. I throw up the Instagram prematurely. Of course, it was in the back of my head that was like, oh, well, her street date isn't until the 21st. I wouldn't, don't get your hopes up. Like, you never know. I was like, nah, there's no way no one's gonna like not sell it to me. I mean, they put her out for a reason. You know what I mean? And like, and she's the only one left. And like, again, I had gotten there like maybe 30 minutes after the store opened. So I just assumed it was already picked over, right? I didn't know that she was just a singular figure there. And I'm holding her and I'm so excited. It was a long weekend because, as I just elucidated for you guys, I was traveling quite a bit. And the day before, I got a call that my mom had a grand mal seizure. My mom has Alzheimer's. A grand mal seizure, I didn't know this until I started doing the research on it after she had the seizure. It's very, I don't want to say it's common, but patients with dementia are most likely to experience these types of seizures. But at the time, my dad, who a lot of you know I have a very complicated relationship with, calls me crying. Literally, I couldn't even understand him. And, you know, I was just like, fuck, man, I just need a win in life. You know what I mean? Like, I have been on the road nonstop since February. X-Men 97 coverage was really intense. I really just wanted to have a fun fan experience at my own pace, not have to worry about getting reviews out or scheduling interviews or having to think about real life and work and the pressures that come with everything. You know what I mean? Like, I just holding this figure was just a win for me. I was like, I did not have to fight for this figure. I did not have to buy her on the secondary market. And also I like being old school with this kind of stuff. I love just showing up and getting the figure and being happy. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, I love the hunt. I appreciate the pre-orders. I pre-order quite a few things, obviously, but this was an opportunity just to be a fan and have fun and have a victory, right? So I go up to the register. It's a long line because, again, it's like 8:45, something like that. It's a long, long line. And I wait in it and I finally make it up to the cashier. And again, I am in on the joke. I'm a 40-year-old man buying muñequitos, right? That's what my mom would call it. Muñequitos, or my abuela también. She would be like, ay, look at that muñequito, which is Spanish for little cartoon, right? So I'm like, I come up with like my muñequito and I hand it to this amazing, amazing cashier who I'm like, hey, how's it going? Trying not to be sus at all. He's like, hey, what's going on? She goes, well, could be a better day. I was like, I feel you, queen. And she looked at me. She's like, how are you doing though? And I was like, I'm fine. I found this figure. I was pretty happy. And she looks at it. She goes, well, tell me, who's this? I was like, well, that's Warbird. She's one of my favorite figures. I'm gonna be very honest with you. In the past, I have sometimes said I'm buying this as a gift for my godson, for my nieces, whoever. You know what I mean? I sometimes will flat out just lie and be like, oh, this is a gift for another person. But again, we're living in a world where the New York Post ran an article with Toy Galaxy about how action figure collecting is for adults now. And I fit the bill. There's no way anyone's going to look at me and believe that I'm buying this muñequito for my niece in Ohio. You know what I mean? Like, they get it. They understand who I am, right? And so I said she's one of my favorite characters. I'm just really wanted this figure. She went to go scan it and she was like, nope, nope. And I was like, oh my God, what do you mean? And literally cut to Elaine when the subway stops again after I picked up. And she starts screaming in her head. And I was very aware of the fact that there was a long line behind me. And the cashier was telling me she couldn't sell it. And so in my head, I want to plea. I sort of want to push back a little bit. I'm like, can you get your manager? That was in my head. And I said, is there any way that you can try to sell this figure to me? And she kept saying no. And then it became so awkward that the other cash registers were looking at what was going on. And not that it was a big scene or anything, but like she was loud when she said, no, 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 you can't buy this figure, right? Her initial reaction was super loud. It took me so back. And all the other cashiers joined in like a symphony here where they're like, no, you can't sell it, you can't sell it. And I was like, is there anything you can do? Meanwhile, I'm like looking behind me, being like, please do not. I hope no one whips out their phone and they're like, here's a Marvel Legends Karen demanding to speak to the manager. I was so mortified and I was really nice. But in my head, I was like, fuck, fuck, fuck. I want this figure. So finally, she's trying to call in her manager and the manager's not responding. And I'm holding Carol like this, the box. And she just grabs it out of my hands and puts it under, her register. And I was so heartbroken. But again, I didn't want to push back because I'm not ending up on the internet, right? I wanted to be like, oh, is there any way you can pass by it, pass the system, stuff like that. I got several DMs because I shared the story. And, they were like, yeah, that's happening. A lot of people were like, that's happening to us. And the reason why we were seeing her already online is like some people were just walking out with her, which I couldn't do it. I love saying I'm a hot mess. I love saying, haha, my wine, I'm gonna take these legends. I'm hoarding these free Wolverine buckets. But I would never do something like that. It's just not in my personality. So I walked away really bummed. And it was really upset and really destroyed my energy. And my husband was like, my husband's also a collector, but my husband and I kind of got into a tiff about it. He was like, oh, you should have pushed back a little bit more. I'm like, I'm not going to push back. What is there to push back on? Like, you cannot sell it. The employee is doing what the employee needs to do. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to get someone in trouble with their job over a muñequito. Again, if I was in the cash register employees position, I would be like, who the fuck are you? I'm not risking my job so you can have a little toy. Like, get out of here. You know what I mean? That's how I would have been. So, but my husband, because our fight kind of escalated, my husband was like, you need to calm down. This is just a toy at the end of the day. And thankfully, we are a dual income family here. We can, if we have to get her on the secondary market, we can get her on the secondary market. You don't have to worry about it. But it was more the emotional lead up to getting that figure and that false promise. How horrible, right? Oh my God. I feel even insane mentioning the story on the internet. Well, I mean, I'm posting this on YouTube and we get at best 100 views on our YouTube channel. Still haven't been able to crack those YouTube views as I have been for our podcast, which, by the way, I do get DMs about the YouTube. The 5 of you actually listen and engage with the content on YouTube. You do message me about it, and the podcast does very well. That's where I sort of focus my efforts on, but I really wanted to do a YouTube ranking of these figures. But anyways, okay, so the story's not over yet. I am getting into this, familia. I want to talk about why I want history preserved, right, on how it was to hunt for Marvel Legends Target exclusive Warbird in the year 2024. Anyways, the employee did tell me at midnight on the 21st at midnight, go to target.com and reserve your figure. And I was already kind of embittered at this point. I was like, I'm not, because it's already sold out online. And so I just kind of walk, with my man bun and Lululemon shorts. I'm like, it's already sold out online. She goes, no, go online at midnight. So we got the UPC code and we started refreshing and trying to see where she was appearing at all of our local targets, right? Even some that are out there. I want to say like Montclair, some in the city, Tribeca, Brooklyn, all of those. We were just monitoring it. And when Michelle was here, we found out that they had 5 at the Jersey City Target. And we're like, perfect. We're going to get her that way. Cannot wait for it. They have 5. We ended up going the night before because we needed to get an inflatable mattress for Michelle and Justin. And we confirmed with an employee on site. And we went right before the store closed. I want to say like 9:30, 9:45. We were there 9:45 p.m. We were at my local Target. And we were like, hey, we just want to confirm you have these 5 Marvel Legends exclusive Warbirds? And the employee was like, yes, we do. They're in the back. So we're going to bed. I tell Michelle, 7 o'clock, we're waking up and we're going. And Michelle's like, I don't know, BB. Because Michelle has all these luck. We will get back on Michelle's journey with Warbird, right? So wake up. My husband checks the UPC on Target.com to make sure that they still have her in stock. My husband's like, oh shit, they don't have her anymore. I was like, what do you mean they don't have her? We're like, let's go. So it's like 7 a.m. Jumping over Michelle and Justin on the inflatable mattress, like right here to our door, running to that Target. Well, we also pick up coffee, but first coffee, right? Running all the way to our Target. My husband stands on one entrance, I stand on the other. A fanboy comes up to me, cuts me off in line, by the way. So if that fanboy's seeing this and he recognizes my face, I saw you cut me. I didn't say anything, but literally just like I was sitting at the edge of the opening of the doors, and he just came right behind me and just hovered over the actual entrance of the sliding doors. And I was like, okay, like that was very bold of you. So sure enough, the doors open. We kind of part ways. I actually ran. That's how desperate I was. Got to the toy aisle. There was nothing there. Spoke with the employee. Nothing there. We go to Target.com. We do notice she's available online. So we go ahead and we place an online order. But we're like, how did these figures just vanish? And I know a lot of you already reached it, but it was in-store pickup. And so that's what happened. And that's what the cashier was trying to warn me. It's like, at midnight, go, the figure will be available and you can do in-store pickup. And it never occurred to me to do in-store pickup. So we got that light bulb moment. We're like, aha, we will do an in-store pickup. We will do that in-store pickup. So we placed several orders at local Targets to get an in-store pickup. They were coming back all canceled because it was too late. A lot of them had already gone in it, and a lot of fans had already gone in it. And Michelle texted saying, "Oh, she's available online." I was like, "I know, I just got her online." And Michelle's like, "Okay, I'm going to do that too." So we kind of did not see a shipping notification or impact, it's getting ready to ship notification from Target, and Michelle got it. And online people were saying, oh, Target was canceling a lot of the orders because they couldn't fulfill them. They're on back order now. And I was like, oh, Michelle, you and your luck powers. But anyway, so we're in the city, and I've kind of at this point resigned myself to the fact that I'm just going to have to get her on eBay. And then my husband got a notification that the Target way past like LaGuardia around there, which is a trek, they had her, they put her aside for us, and she was available for pickup. And we were touring the city with Michelle and Justin. We were taking them to Book Off, to Midtown Comics, to Forbidden Planet. So we were in the thick of traveling around the city. My husband's like, I'll go get it. Don't worry. My husband went, he got it. And here she is right there. So she does 30 minutes later. That's how I got this Warbird. But anyways, this is the definitive Warbird. She comes with an alternate head. So you have your classic Warbird where the mask is a bit thick, and then you have your modern new Avengers era style Warbird where the mask is a bit thin and the hair is slightly different. And one, she has windswept in one, the other is just kind of like powered up. Best Warbird figure ever. Probably the best female figure we have ever got. That's how bold I think one of the best female figures. I'm saying the best. You can disagree with me. That's fine. But I think one of the best. Anyways, familia, there you go. Our rankings and history of the Marvel Legends Warbird from Walmart to Target and back to Target. How would you rank these figures? Happy till this day if we had just stayed with the Walmart exclusive one. But I am so happy we live in a world with this figure. Anyways, familia, slide into our DMs at Power of X-Men. I was going to say this was going to be exclusively just on YouTube to force the people who listen to the podcast to come on YouTube. But given how long this story is, and the fact that we talked about some of the San Diego stuff that came out, I'm going to post this on the podcast as well. But anyways, familia, hit us up at Power of X-Men on Instagram. Thank you for coming with me on this very long journey.